Hey guys, and welcome back to Movie Club Emporium. Welcome to our November live hangout. And this month, we are piggybacking off of our Neo Noir November and dig into the other Neos. There's not just one Neo. When it comes to film genres, we are talking about Neo Westerns. So we're gonna talk about some very unique, very different films in the neo western genre. Uh, so no need to run away and go buy $1,000 pair of boots or a nice Stetson. Just get ready and buckle up for some fun movie discussion. I'm Jason,
And I'm Nick.
and this is our monthly lives. We do these each and every month. Last month, in case you missed it, we covered everything The Stand from Stephen King. And if you say once a month, that's not, I can't, I need so much more of both of you equally. Well, you're in good, I've got good news. Because every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have new movie club reviews that go up every week. This starting tomorrow, we begin our 5 week journey. It's holiday season. Usually around the holiday season, we try to talk about holiday horror movies. This month or this year, I decided stupidly to cover Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. Not only that, but as a throwback to the first review show ever did, I did it binge style. So not only did I watch all 5 movies at once, I then recorded all those reviews at once. So you can watch my pure descent into holiday madness. Those come out over the next few weeks. And then every Wednesday morning, uh, Nick takes you and his Regal Pass and gets you the hottest, the freshest, straight out of the theater takes for post theater clarity. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss a single second of everything going on here at the Movie Club Emporium, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you click the bell, appease all the YouTube elder gods, and help us by sharing with your friends. Right now, I think I can safely say our goal is to hit 100 of you in 2026. So help us get that going. But for now, we will get into our topic at hand. But first and foremost, whilst we're waiting for some of you to pop up in the chat, Nick, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. Long day at work and raced home to get everything together to hop on here to talk about neo westerns with you. But otherwise, life's been lifing. I have made it to the theater every week to go have some fodder for post theater clarity, and just watching what catches my eye. As I mentioned to you, it's like I'm gonna have to watch some worse movies to have some entertaining fodder because everything I've recorded a video for so far has actually been pretty decent, or at least acceptable. But I mean, that's a good sign. I've really enjoyed the movies this year. Enjoyed what I've gone to go see at the theater. Uh, I believe I'm going to try to go see The Running Man this next week, but who knows? Maybe I go see something far for or worse. I don't know. That's the thing. You never know what you're going to get at post theater clarity. Also, note on that, I have until recently have been recording the reviews right out of the I walk out of the parking lot and record it in front of the sign of the movie theater. I live in Eastern Washington. It is cold, 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 and I get weird looks for trying to record it inside the movie theater. So I race home and I record it in front of a creepy painting in my living room. But you are getting that no more than 10 minutes after I left the theater. So still very, very fresh hot takes. Yeah, I I tried recording an episode a few weeks ago outdoors, and the my phone is shaking so much. I was like, "Ah, we're not doing shaky cam for this," so raced home and re-recorded it again. I might have to upload a blooper reel at some point, as well as recording this last one. My daughter's dog was fighting her pineapple house and growling out of control, and I died laughing. So I had to start out fresh, but it's been a fun project. Thank you to everyone who's been stopping by and checking those out. Uh, I look forward to doing that much more. And one thing I look forward to too is revisiting some of these movies because I don't know about you, I've often found that my immediate reaction to a movie can vary wildly from kind of what I think after I chew on it for a while.
Yeah,
But thing
yeah,
very raw takes, but yeah. How are you doing?
good, good. I'm mostly reviewing indoors. So kudos to you. And yeah, I mean it's only fair. I still say they're pretty hot takes. If you're watching like Nick steam as he warms up out of the cold, it's still pretty hot takes. So you should be fine.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
you're
haven't been doing much in
right.
the theater. I will say I agree though. Like the things I have seen in the theater. Granted, I don't go see everything. But I can't say that there's too much that I haven't. Let's just say if we started our list today, it would be a very small worst of list. And then a real hard time putting my best of together. It's been a pretty decent year movie wise.
That's
It's been a,
and, and that's really where I'm at too. I'm gonna spend December and January really catching up on movies that I didn't see in the theater this year. But
same.
as usual, I'll have to dig around and see what really got trashed in the reviews because 2025 has been a fun year.
Yeah.
But
Same. But so I think we can go ahead and get rolling. So I guess to be fair for everybody to be on the same page, what is a neo western? Well, for me, a neo western is a film that, while not necessarily having, all the six shooters and serapes as you'd expect from your classic westerns, there are stories that can take place in nearly any genre, but do have all the kind of characteristics and some more of the broad tropes of the western genre. So we are covering horror, we're covering post-apocalyptic sci-fi, we're covering um, neo noir. We're covering just a wild, crazy. It's a whole lot of smorgasbord coming up with these reviews today.
it's like yeah, neo western, maybe something. I always think of it as Western themes, Western settings, uh, Western plot structures, but set in a little more modern times. Um, and you're right; it encompasses so many genres of movies, and that's why when we planned this uh, way in advance, this is one we were both really looking forward to. We both picked three movies, and I must say, I'm going to tell you right now, there is not one movie on these six that I didn't at least somewhat enjoy a decent bit. They weren't all the highest quality, but I'm having trouble thinking of another episode where we reviewed five or six movies, and I think we had this many just like dynamite movies, in my opinion. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
I would have to definitely have to go back. Yeah, basically, like, if you want to look at the last 5 years, probably the biggest neo western would be something like Yellowstone. And as far as like the world of TV, uh, basically, and then uh for movie wise, for me, the ones that come to mind the most are something like No Country for Old Men or Hell or High Water, two big neo westerns in recent memory.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like I said, we cover a lot of different genres, and not a bad apple in the bunch. Um, which again, I have to go back and look, but I can't. I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of a time where we were just like, oh, six bangers, kind of. Maybe the low quality banger, but still a lot of fun. Uh, so without further ado, let's start off. We're gonna do these in chronological order, kind of bouncing back and forth. But starting off with our oldest film, 1974, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. And with a title like that, you immediately have my attention. This is a Sam Peckinpah film. And if you don't know who Sam Peckinpah is, he is the guy who makes the manliest movies that ever manly movied alive. He is probably your grandpa's favorite filmmaker. um, Made such big films like The Wild Bunch, Straw Dogs. Um, just a big name in like 70s man. And this
Very,
movie is,
very.
yeah, go ahead.
He was very, very ahead of his time for making some really gritty, raw movies. The kind
Yeah.
of guy you look at his filmography. And you could see the influence in directors later on. Mostly, I'd say Quentin Tarantino, who
One
was
hundred
one of the
percent.
said that Sam Peckinpah was a big influence on him. Um, yeah, just you're right. Just manly movies full of manly dudes.
Yeah. And so Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Apparently, this is the only movie he never had any like studio interference from, which baffles me, because this is such a bizarre film. We have Warren Oates, who I must say, when I saw the poster and like images from this movie, was really glad to see that he wasn't playing a Mexican, because it was the 70s. Um, but he plays a American piano player and bar owner, and all around just kind of like sleazy dude who like thrives on just like uh uh sheer bravado and BS. And he gets wrapped up in this uh plot where a uh a Mexican kingpin, I think on the official synopsis they call him a land baron. And it's just because, for whatever reason, we don't want to say that that land is just covered head to toe in cocaine, because he's clearly a drug lord.
He's a
um,
he is transparently a crime boss.
yeah, yeah, he is the kingpin of Mexico. His daughter gets knocked up by apparently the most charming man in Mexico, Alfredo Garcia, who hilariously every time they show a picture of this guy, which if you read the backstory stuff, it's a picture of Warren Oates made up to look Hispanic. So we're still not escaping brownface. But every time they show his picture, I just think, oh, we can remake this movie and Pedro Pascal plays Alfredo Garcia, because he kind of looks like Warren Oates. Um, and so this kingpin offers $1 million to the man who will bring him the head of Alfredo Garcia, and Warren Oates' prostitute girlfriend, who I guess this was like her first big like American film. She was a Spanish actress, and honestly, who kind of steals this movie with her
Oh, she's
performance.
great.
She is fantastic. She knows Alfredo. She has succumbed previously to the insatiable charm of Alfredo, and so Warren Oates is using her to find him before the others do, to collect the money to get them a better life. And it's just uh watching this man uh continuously end up way over his head, and you spend the entire rest of the movie going, just stop and get out, just stop and get out. um Leading, ultimately culminating in ending that, if you know Peckinpah movies, you know how much Peckinpah loved a happy ending. Um, Probably maybe the most nihilist of all the movies we watched with this series. It definitely is the most
Yes.
downer of endings. Um, but by God, does it deliver on a head in a bag? And it literally ends with a looking down the gun barrel with the phrase "directed by Sam Peckinpah" on it, which I feel like every movie that Sam Peckinpah directed should end like that. Um,
Yes.
I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's definitely a '70s slow burn, and almost to a fault. There is a lot toward once we've hit the ultimate of getting the MacGuffin, which is literally a severed head in a bag. Um, I feel like we the movie kind of, you finally hit this moment where you think we're kind of getting ready to wrap it up, and then it kind of keeps going on. But then you get to that ending, and it's just like it's sad and brutal, and just ultimately kind of a gut punch for a bunch of doomed characters that kind of walk themselves into a no-win situation. I will say it is funny. This is my second Warren Oates movie this year, because he's in Race with the Devil as well, which ultimately also has a very bleak ending. So aside from him in Stripes, I can't think of a movie where Warren Oates like has a good time as the credits roll. Um, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. So what did you? How did you feel about Bring Me the Head of? I just love saying it. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Yes, isn't that is an awesome title for a movie? It is so attention grabbing. You know, of course, they say the title of the movie. This movie starts with a bang, with the kingpin, basically having his daughter tortured to divulge his pregnant daughter tortured to divulge the identity of this guy who's a gigolo that was also in the good graces of this kingpin, and he is pissed. Um, you know, it's just like, and he's sending out these various people, uh, mercenaries, members of his criminal syndicate, to go out and find this dude. And it's like, oh, we don't want him alive. Kill him. Bring me his head. That is literally what they want. Um, and it's just like War Notes, so sleazy in this movie. He is a degenerate drunk whose girlfriend is a hooker. Uh, and this is such a sweaty, gross movie. I mean, we literally have a scene where the main character Benny wakes up and to it uses liquor to get rid of crabs, crotch lice, and it's just like, ugh. You could feel how raw and gross and real this movie is, and that's what struck me about it. This movie seems so realistic. It's a slice of life for these people who are really trashy and really terrible. Uh, and it's like you get action, you get a thriller, you get a love story, and you get a bizarre buddy road trip movie between Biddy and the head of the bag that is getting swarmed by flies. Um, I loved this movie. I thought it was so good. It had, you're right, there are parts where it slows down, but it had me mesmerized throughout because I think this is such a precisely made movie. Just it focuses so you get the feel. It focuses so much on the country of Mexico, where not Warren Oates, Sam Peckinpah lived a lot of the time. He was living there when he made this movie. And in some ways, it's a love letter to the Mexican countryside. You're going into these cantinas and these roadside restaurants and just these little towns and these farms. Uh, it, it, it's just it's amazing. You feel you're with there with them on this road trip. Uh, Warren Oates and I had to look up her name because she has not been on Isela Vega as Alita, his hooker girlfriend. Man, they are both so good in this. Their relationship feels real, and when they're talking hopefully about the future and where this money could take them, uh, even though they're both seedy individuals, you want them to make it. Of course, nothing happy at this movie. There's no happiness allowed. It gets increasingly brutal, and the situation keeps escalating as the situation gets more and more out of control until he's like any or notes he's kind of he's losing it at the end. He has been through too much. He's killed too many people. He's lost too much, and it's just he's hit a breaking point. But I mean, I don't know. I would say as far as Warren, you know, this movie wasn't well liked when it came out, but man, I think Warren Oates should have gotten nominated for an Academy Award. There's one scene in particular where a certain character dies, and he just can't accept it, and he's trying to ration his way around it, and it is a very raw, uncomfortable scene because of how it's shot and how he's selling it. You know, when your mind just can't comprehend this level of loss, and you just don't want to accept it. Uh, and there's crazy gun battles. And one thing it does so well is it shows how truly chaotic and messy most gunfights actually are. That they're not all pretty and precise. Not everyone's expert military operators. It's brutal and quick and nasty, and people get shot and don't instantly die. And man, Sam Peckinpah can film a gunfight. He can film anything. I think it's such a beautifully shot movie. It's such a well acted movie. I, you know, I don't think America was ready for this movie when it came out. It got blasted by critics. It wasn't successful. But man, what a raw, real movie. And fun fact, the main character, it's Sam Peckinpah. He's heavily based it off looks, personality, and everything. It's 73, 74. Sam Peckinpah was in Mexico drinking himself to death. Uh, Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I'm watching it, and yeah, like they even said like the sunglasses worn out, whereas they were Peckinpah's glasses. Um, is so much of the influence of not just Peckinpah, but kind of for me this movie in particular. Uh, there's a scene where they're just driving, and a tractor goes around a bus, and it's filmed like a Zack Snyder car chase scene. It just goes in this insane slow motion. The editing on it is just wild, and it's a tractor like in the hammer lane going around a bus full of people. And to me, I felt like, and I need to check the names again because maybe it goes as far as the character's name is Benny. I'd have to look. When the buddy road trip starts, it's 100% because it's the part of the movie that Tarantino directed. It's 100% the Clive Owen Benicio del Toro scenes from Sin City. 100%.
Yes. Oh, I did not click. You are completely right.
But there is the other part of Peckinpah that it makes Peckinpah a little more of a hard watch is the man just Peckinpah love throwing in his random scenes of just overly long assaults because when they're out in the middle of like the Mexican desert in the middle of an off-road like just like camping out on their way to find Alfredo Garcia and two motorcyclists show up, one of them being a very young Chris Christopherson, for no other reason than to just like try to try to assault this woman to ultimately just be gunned down by war notes. Um, I was just like, where did this come from? Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Peckinpah movie. I've seen Straw Dogs.
Yeah, the movie seems a little, and I think probably Sam Peckinpah's many divorces and doomed romances seems a little angry towards women at times. So, go ahead armed with that.
I do
But it's
love
just
the
a pure thriller, dark comedy, romance. Man, I love it.
I do love most of the score of this movie is usually either like is our the female character when she's like number one, I don't know how you must really be in love if you're putting up with your significant other just playing the guitar on a road trip. Um, but just her singing. But my favorite, and then the ending credit scene was so weirdly not fitting for the end of this movie. But the opening when it's juxtaposing the guards like forcibly bringing the kingpin's daughter to him, like during this it was like a prayer service or something's going on, but the only sounder is just like the clinging of the spurs as they're like walking her to this what is essentially a torture scene to find out who has knocked her up. You're just hearing the clanging of the spurs, and that's the soundtrack of the movie. Again, just such an influential director for so many people working in the action genre. But man, this was a lot of fun.
It's something more people should watch it. It's cool to see where movies were going and things were getting more real and more gritty and kind of away from the era of the 50s and 60s and movies like this. Man, I'm here for it. And we're going to continue on in the 70s for something else real and gritty and frankly pretty damn amazing. 1976's Assault on Precinct 13 by the god among directors, John Carpenter. So, this It's a very tight movie. It's less than 90 minutes, and it gets right down to it. There is a gang in LA called Street Thunder, and six of their members are gunned down by the cops. This very diverse gang decides to take revenge on the city and goes about on a bit of a rampage. Meanwhile, we are introduced to a character, a police lieutenant. Sorry, I'm bad with names. Austin Stoker, fantastic actor, as Lieutenant Ethan Bishop, who was assigned to Precinct 13, this police station, kind of in a more remote part of South Central Los Angeles, that is being shut down and will be completely decommissioned in the morning. He's there to oversee it. Uh, and while they're there, a prison transport stopped by because they have a sick inmate and they're carrying a few inmates along for the ride, including notorious criminal Napoleon. With a name like that, you know he's going to be a stone cold badass. And he is. Sorry. Lost place there. Napoleon Wilson. Um, Yang ends up murdering a young girl, and a distraught father chases one down and takes revenge and manages to kill one of the gang leaders. Realizing what he's done, he hurriedly retreats to the police station, the titular Precinct 13. And this police station, which is mostly cleaned out and terribly undermanned, is now under siege by dozens of gang members who are determined to get in there, even if it kills all of them, and to kill everybody inside the police station. So this lieutenant, a few secretaries, what little cops are remaining, and the prisoners have to band together to survive the night in what is essentially a modern remake of the John Wayne film Rio Bravo. And I am here for it. It is tight. The music is great. You get an awesome Carpenter score. I love movies that really sell the feeling of urban isolation. That you could be in the city and still be very far away from help. And that's how you feel. You know, especially South Central Los Angeles in the mid 70s, there are some of the areas that are more industrial, a little more in the outskirts that you could get pretty isolated. Uh, and this is an era where you could cut phone lines and they'd be completely cut off. You have these characters thrown into this desperate situation and they have to get clever and they have to improvise and they have to work together to survive. I mean, overwhelming odds. This gang, Street Thunder, is just utterly relentless. It just wave after wave of attacks. These people are trying to figure out a way to get communication out or escape. Um, this is a quintessential 70s action movie, and this is one that really showed us, man, John Carpenter's got it. What'd you think?
Yeah, I I really love not Space Ghost of Mars. I'm kidding. I made that joke so I can see your reaction to it. No, this was a lot of fun. I love not only can you see things in this early Carpenter movie that he would later bring back in better ways. I mean, the gang outside, just silently outside, um, the precinct is feels very much Prince of Darkness to me. Um, Speaking of the score, I think I this is a very underrated and unfortunately not talked about Carpenter score.
It's great, and I forgot how great it was.
Yeah, I think it gets overshadowed because Halloween is next and that score, but this was a killer score. Um, what also is again the almost supernatural evil of the gang um really works. It's the same kind of thing that you pick up with like the group from movies like Cobra. where there's almost a like again a supernatural element to how evil this gang is. Especially that ice cream scene is just like how do you get away with that even in the 70s? Because it is just out of nowhere brutal. And I
It
again, yeah, go ahead.
it's and that violence, I mean, the death of a child, it's not suggested. They show it.
Yeah,
It's brutal and it's bloody and it went there. I just imagined being in a movie theater in '76 and seeing that. Uh, my wife rewatched it with me. She gasped. I mean, it's you just you aren't expecting that. It's kind of setting up for somebody else to die, and nope.
yeah. I on top of yeah, speaking, I watched it at my mother in law's house. So it's like, y'all want to buckle up or watch this Assault on Precinct 13? Which kudos to my mother in law because she was like, "Oh, are you gonna watch the remake too?" And I was like, "No, just this one." I have not seen the remake. I told her I was like, "No, that came out the same year as the Fog remake, so my tolerance for and apprehension to John Carpenter remakes was very low after the Fog." Um, but I love that again. This movie is so tight. Uh, it's immediately, hey, you're a criminal, I'm a cop, but we got to work together if we're both living through this. You don't have all the back and forth, like kind of him and Han about are they going to work together? Can they coexist? It's just like either we're together or we're both dead. Um, I love the final stand in the basement. Uh, the ending of that is just wild to me, and I love that it's not. While they are kind of building this weird romance between this one secretary and the killer, our main criminal Napoleon. Um, I think if anything else, it just kind of humanizes him a little bit because when you're introduced to him, it's kind of a, like Charles Cyphers talks about him. It's kind of he had kind of a mythical. You're not sure. I mean, he killed people, but you're not sure if like what his actual like crime is. But they're sending him to death row. But throughout the movie, you're just like, what a cool dude. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's on his way to death row. And I like the ending of not he's not letting him escape, but he does. He's like, I'm gonna let him walk out of here like a man. He's earned that at least instead of being treated like an animal, kind of like he is at the first of the movie. And just by God, get that man a cigarette.
Hell yeah, he is man. He's another guy. Darwin Jostin as Napoleon Wilson. He is smooth as hell. He is charming. He it's just like that dude's got it. Charisma in droves. Uh, he makes a good kind of pairing, with the very buttoned up Lieutenant Bishop. I love those two together. They are a dynamic duo that kick all kinds of ass. I love the dialogue of this movie, the music, 70s masterpiece. Um, what an excellent Carpenter movie. Just dynamite beginning to end. And it's like, man, I wish more modern movies would look at this with like, let's get a banging soundtrack, some good talent, some solid dialogue, and an awesome setting and make ourselves a great movie. Because this is how you do it.
My
And I don't
only,
think it costs much money to make.
hmm, I was gonna say my only regret is, and I love Carpenter as the master of horror, and he is, and he's outbranched from that, but horror is his staple. I kind of wish we got more gritty action
Oh
from
man, me
Carpenter.
too. I just, and don't get me wrong, it's like I love Big Trouble in Little China. I love Escape from New York. I even love Escape from LA. But just more straightforward action like this, I, he could have, lightning would have struck twice. He could have done this again in a different setting in a very totally different way. Uh,
Imagine
and
if they did this movie on another planet.
like Mars, maybe
Yeah,
they had some ghosts.
yeah.
Oh, I think it's you don't know Ghosts of Mars. Carpenter remade this movie in space with Ice Cube.
And it's just as good.
It's entertaining. It's something. Come on. But
At least we don't read.
no,
At least he doesn't do that ending. You don't get the Ghost of Mars ending in this.
Yeah. You make a good cop. You make a good criminal. Nah. Oh, we will review Ghost of Mars one day as part of the lesser Carpenter movies. So we'll get to that one later on. But watch Assault on Precinct 13. It's on Prime right now too.
Oh yeah, yeah. And again, I may check out the remake. I just remember it coming out, but
Oh,
having watched the Fog remake, I was like, no, I don't.
oh,
I'm not down with that.
the remake's a good action movie. Um, if you go in and expecting it to come anywhere close to the original and the tension of the original, it doesn't. But as a 2000s action movie, it delivers. It's a fun one. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a lot better than The Fog, but that is a very very low bar.
Well, you are up with our next one, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Let me look at the docket. Ooh, got some thoughts here. So we arrive at a horror movie, a very influential horror neo western, uh, which kind of acted as a launching point for famed director Catherine Bigelow. It is 1987's Near Dark. So we start out in, hey, Oklahoma, with Caleb Colton. You know, this lives in this small podunk town, and he is just this charming pretty boy cowboy type. And he runs into this mysterious girl named May, and she's kind of odd, but she's adorable. He's quite attracted to her. Uh, they're talking at the truck and make it out, and she bites him. Next thing you know, he's running through a field smoking, and he is snatched up by an RV full of redneck vampires, white trash vampires. However you want to classify them, they're vampires. But wait, are they? Vampire, the V word is never used in this movie, which is very much a purpose. No fangs are shown. They have no aversion to crosses. But let's be honest, they're bloodsuckers. So you get to see this character, Caleb Colton, who's forcibly brought into this fold of undead ghouls and try to come to terms with what he is now. The concept of immortality, and especially the idea of having to feed on other humans to survive. Meanwhile, Caleb's dad, played by awesome Tim Thomerson, Jack Death himself, is in pursuit trying to figure out what happened to his son. So you kind of follow them on this odyssey across the American Southwest and Oklahoma and Texas and all these small towns and watching these camps feed and prey on people and interact with each other in this bizarre, violent family. And you've got Lance Henriksen uh, as the leader of this band of vampires, Bill Paxton as Severin, who steals a lot of scenes in this movie. Jeanette Goldstein is Diamondback. And funny thing, all three of those people, not long before this, were in Aliens together. Joshua John Miller is Homer, who's a child, frozen in time at 12 years old, but in fact he's quite old. And of course, Ginny Wright is May. So that's the rundown. I want to know your thoughts before I give my opinion.
As far as Near Dark, I believe this is the most underrated movie of the 1980s. It's one that still, even though it has become recognized for what it is, to me still isn't praised enough for what it does for the neo western, for the horror genre, for the vampire genre. Um, and it's funny because you will forget, I guess, we forget as a people how insanely talented Catherine Bigelow is as a director. And then she'll kind of come out of nowhere with this movie, like, oh, she's amazing. whether it's this or Strange Days or um The Hurt Locker, or, things like that. She's had these huge movies, but I wrote down this is my note for it. If we're talking 80s vampire movies, if The Hunger is like the new wave neon, what everybody thinks the 80s looked like, this is the wood paneling that the 80s actually was of vampire movies. Um I love that it is down and dirty. I love this cast. And I love that we're not saying vampires. They're just throwing out these. There's that moment. Um, it's Lance Hendrickson who he's talking about. I was in war once. Our side lost, and between that and his outfit, you realize, oh, he's talking about the Civil War. Um, you do get the big like the effects, especially with everything that happens to Bill Paxton's character. And he is just more than happy to just chew the scenery. Uh, I think the scene in the bar is one of the best and like most tension filled scenes in any horror movie from the 1980s. Um, I even enjoy Adrian Pasdar, who I know only from this and Heroes. He's great. It's just a fun, just again, it's a dark road, sweaty, real life vampire movie with just fantastic acting, fantastic direction, and again, while getting recognized way more now than it did ever before, it's still not where it should be in like the echelon of not only vampire movies but neo westerns as well.
This one we go way back with this one. I bought this on DVD back in like 2002, and we watched it. And it's one that really stuck with me. Uh, it is very well directed. There are some amazing, beautiful shots, like the one where they're cresting the hill of the dark and the lights behind them. The bar scene is frankly amazing. The shootout of the bungalow is iconic. And just it we're from this area that this takes place in, and man, it captures the feel of these small towns and these dusty roads. Um, Lance Henriksen and Bill Paxton, I think, still most of the scenes are in the movie. Lance Henriksen, he comes at it with this intensity. There's one scene where he gets shot and spits out the bullet and puts it in the dude's pocket. It is great, wonderful stuff. Um, there are a few things now I with repeated viewings I've noticed. Uh, the kid who plays Homer just isn't very good. His line delivery is bizarre and stilted, and it kind of seems out of place with everybody else. And here's the thing with kid actors, it, you just run that risk. They're not as experienced. It just kind of comes with the territory. Uh, Man, he's such a weird looking kid too. It's
He
just it doesn't kill it, but I've something I've grown to notice more. Uh, there's a few things in the movie you just got to kind of accept, like the fact they are just murdering their way across the Southwest and no one's the wiser because they are messy in everything they do. They're like they've presumably been doing this for a long time, and they are not careful in the slightest. Uh, and again, suspension of disbelief. The big thing people complain about this movie that they have a hard time accepting is the vampire cure. And I think it's kind of and I'll agree, it's a bit of a cheap cop out. Um, the idea of doing a blood transfusion as a cure for vampirism, it doesn't quite make the most sense. But realistically, those issues, I could suspend disbelief for watching a vampire movie. this is still very well made. It's an awesome neo-western. You have a really, for the most part, dynamite cast. It is so beautifully filmed, and there are a few scenes that are just so incredibly memorable. I love the effect of like when they get exposed to the sun and they're smoking, they burst into flames. You get that feeling with these vampires; they're very real characters who've seen things, and they have long since become desensitized to the idea of killing. The humans around them are just prey. Uh, I mean, I can't sell enough the intensity of Lance Henriksen brings to this, and the look he has, just how he acts with his eyes are just great. So I noticed a few things I didn't used to notice, but overall, I still really enjoy Near Dark, and I still recommend it. It doesn't get talked enough. The '80s was a great decade for vampire movies, and it's not mentioned enough. And it truly does something different.
Yeah, yeah. The kid you talk about the kid. I always think of it's the same kid who was in Class of 1999 when we talked
Yep.
about that, and he's also kind of weirdly he's weird in that movie too. Um, and the other thing for me is I know it's the main drive of the story. I get it. But because these side characters are so big and so are acted so well, to me the love story between between the two is kind of lost in the background of like Bill Paxton and Lance Hendrickson and even Jeanette Goldstein. Um, yeah, like you said, the realness of it, like we're putting duct tape over bullet holes so the sun doesn't come in, and just tin foiling all the windows. It's such a dirty and speaking of sweaty, yet again, what a sweaty, gross movie.
Su- Super sweaty, super dusty movie. But that's life in Oklahoma and Texas. So,
Yeah,
and it does. It feels like a western. It feels like this country kid falls in with a band of outlaws, which has been used as a plot in westerns before, and you really feel the old western movie influence of this one hard, and it's the better for it.
yeah. Almost to the point to where it's almost covering like so this year. In reading, I finally broke down and read Blood Meridian, the Cormac McCarthy book.
Oh yeah.
And even watching this again, I was just like, oh wow, we're pulling a lot. This it's the same story of just this kid falls in with this gang, and there's the big bad is the leader of this gang is something otherworldly, and this movie thankfully has far less use of the N word, which is a real problem to get through that book. Yeah, it's a little hard listening to the audiobook of that. Um, but what's not hard to uh, to get through, and it's our next movie. We're gonna jump quite a few years, almost 8 years to be exact, to 1995. To another high school Jason and Nick staple, Desperado. Desperado. It's the Robert Rodriguez joint. This was his second film behind what this is a pseudo sequel to. El Mariachi was the movie he made with a turtle, a toy gun, and a prayer. Um, Here now we get a little bit of budget behind it. We get uh, a 1995 Antonio Banderas, a 1995 Selma Hayek. So just the sex factor of this movie is almost as cool as the guitar case full of guns. Uh, this is a movie I was so excited when we were doing this. This is the one that I made sure Ashton, who had never seen it before, watched it with me. Uh, and because every high school age boy should totally see Desperado. It's kind of required viewing. I feel like it should be anyway. Uh, Antonio Banderas plays our character, the mariachi, who is on a revenge tour. Uh, After the gang taking out the gang of everybody who was there when his wife was gunned down and he was shot in the hand. and it leads him to this small town run by one insane criminal named Bucho, uh, and he, in doing so, hooks up with a bookstore owner. I'm starting to see a lot of parallels with this in Roadhouse, because Bucho has a thing
oh,
for
oh
Selma
my
Hayek.
God, you're right.
It's Mexican Roadhouse, only instead of ripping
Another
out throats. Yeah, another
another
neo western.
sexy, sweaty movie. Yeah.
Uh, and Antonio Banderas he's a man with the mission, and again a guitar case full of guns. And you have just some of the wildest shootouts. Uh, the opening of this movie is one of the best openings ever, where it's literally Steve Buscemi narrating one of the craziest action sequences you'll see, while drinking bad beer with Cheech Marin. Um, this is a who's who of like Mexican actors at the time. Cheech Marin, Danny Trejo shows up as a knife throwing sociopath, who just looks awesome. Uh, you get the guitar player from that band that does the music for this movie as kind of Cheech Marin's buddy at the bar. Quentin Tarantino shows up, and tells a very Quentin Tarantino esque dialogue heavy joke. Um,
Yep.
you get you get like a cage fight that involves a guy who's so excited to get a compound who spends the rest of the movie with a compound fracture. And just dudes like jumping off of moving vehicles, taking shotguns to the chest. And then the movie gets crazy. Which I won't spoil because if you haven't seen this movie, by God, do yourself a favor. Again, this is the middle part of his the Mexico trilogy. Um, El Mariachi, this movie, and then Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Uh, Both of those Nick and I were talking before we started. I haven't seen since high school, but Desperado is one that is definitely a go-to fun action movie. It's just full of incredible action, incredible stunts, and two of the hottest people in the world at the time, uh, having one crazy good time, and is an absolute blast of a movie.
It is. It is a wild action movie. If you're here for the massive plot, no. If you're here for some sexy people and awesome gun battles and crazy violence and sweet guitar music, Desperado is your movie. And man, what more could you want? It is an absolute blast as the mysterious gunman with his case full of, carrying, kind of like trying to remember the character who would the old west gunslinger would come in. He came in with a coffin with a Gatling gun in it.
Django.
Um, Django. I could think of that. It's something this trope's been used a lot. It's like, oh, what's he carrying with him? Turns out guns, a lot of guns, an awesome guitar case full of guns, but multiple shootouts. I love the battle between him and Danny Trejo, who has all these just covered in throwing knives and throwing them. And man, Antonio Banderas gets messed up in this movie. He gets beat up, stabbed, shot, just and he keeps on going and can still make love to Selma Hayek. But I mean, if we're talking 1995 Selma Hayek, you'll rally. Come on. Um, I can't. It's like the chemistry and sex appeal those two have, and I agree. 1995. There's nobody on earth hotter than these two, man and woman, who got them in one amazing, very well directed action movie. It's really showed us that, especially with some more budget, Robert Rodriguez could just make bangers, and he has kept on making bangers still. I love that he spent he sold his body. He like signed up for medical trials to get money to make El Mariachi, and he was able to parlay that into a very lucrative and successful Hollywood career. And he really showed everybody what he could do with Desperado. The gunplay is masterful. The movie is extremely well shot, fast paced. And do we say sexy? Because let me tell you, this movie is real sexy. I love Desperado, and I'd love it even more watching it again. It had been a while, and I'm gonna watch Once Upon a Time in Mexico soon. Uh, it's great. Watch it.
Yeah, the music's incredible. Again, yeah, you're here for the action, you're not here for the plot. I mean, the plot's fine, and it does what it needs to, but like it's like there's a third act climax character reveal that every time I watch this movie, I go, wait, what? Oh yeah,
It's it it doesn't it kind of feels a bit out of place, but you know what? I'll forgive it. It this kind because this kind of has the in some ways feels a little like a super violent telenovela. So
yeah,
I'm here for it. It's kind of the drama and the twists and whatnot. And sometimes the acting. I don't care. I'm
yeah.
here for it. Beautiful movie, amazing movie, love it. And as that, we move on to still in the 90s, a movie which I remember seeing trailers for constantly on VHS tapes back in the day. But I never got around to watching it. 1996's Last Man Standing, starring the great Bruce Willis. That's it all. You also get Christopher Walken in this movie and Bruce Dern. There's some dynamite actors in this. And Leslie Mann as a prostitute who will just not shut the hell up. Oh my gosh. Anywho, Bruce Willis plays this mysterious guy who strolls into this small town on the Mexican border on the American side, and instantly runs afoul of some of the more unsavory elements in town, and ends up brutally gunning one down, a guy who runs afoul of him, showing that he has some wild skills with a pair of Colt 1911s.
Can you hear? I'm still here.
Was that
I'm nothing. Keep going. I'm still here. I was messing with my camera
okay?
for a second.
So I'm making sure we're okay.
Yeah, you're
So
good.
turns out in this small town we have two rival bootlegging gangs, the Irish and the Italians, who are kind of locked into this war. So Bruce Willis goes about playing both sides against each other and basically being a hired gun and getting what he wants on his mission to kind of get out of Dodge, and he's heading down to Mexico and hide out for a while. Uh, So you get to see him, schmooze the ladies, shoot the guys, and cross, and double cross yet again. Uh, this movie had some good action. It was well shot. It was dusty. It was sweaty. But I would definitely say out of all six movies we watched, I like this one the least. It wasn't bad. But something I had a hard time with is it's kind of hard to keep track of who's who. There are so many characters in and out of this who are dressed similarly and have similar sounding names. You kind of get lost. You're like, okay, which side is this guy on? Okay, who's he connected to? Is he spying for the other? It's just it bounces around a lot. Bruce Willis' character, he narrates the movie, and I kind of figured out I think you need that narration or else you'd be pretty lost. And the voiceover works in kind of a noir sort of way. Um, it's just it's a little messy, and a lot of it's we're seeing these awesome actors interact with each other and getting some wild gun battles, and it's a very violent movie. Uh, this one just I don't know. Watching it in the midst of these other movies, it's not bad, but it just didn't hit nearly as well as the others did.
Yeah, I'm very much on the same page. Watching it aside from the acting in it, shout out to also to I can never remember the actor's name from The Crow and The Warriors and Commando, the little guy. Um, Twin Peaks as well. Um, who's like
Oh, David Patrick Kelly.
Yes.
David Patrick Kelly.
Um, yeah, just it's just like it's a really overly busy, and it's a loose remake of Yo Jimbo, or if you want to keep it in the Western family, A Fistful of Dollars. So kind of watching, I was kind of like, man, this is fine, but I kind of rather be watching Fistful of Dollars.
It and that's what it's very narrative of other movies. And they shove too many characters and too much going on in it. If they had whittled down the cast, and they're like they say a lot of names of the movie, and you're just like, okay, who
Yeah.
need to take notes. Okay, who was that? Okay, who is he with? Who is Bruce Willis aligned with now? It it just this could have been a very tight action movie along the lines of Desperado, and they just kind of bog it down. I think they had some awesome set pieces and wardrobe, and they had a lot of good actors, and I think they really wanted to utilize that. And there's some good scenes, but you know, better in parts than a whole. The whole movie is, and it's just okay. If one I won't be revisiting it anytime soon, even though it's a decent enough movie. It just Yeah, it just kind of pales in comparison to the others on this list of me certified bangers.
And to be fair, this is a movie like I had not seen before, but you could pluck my eyes out and I could describe the poster for this movie
Yes.
in Picasso or Leonardo esque detail, because this poster of this movie was such a staple of the video store when we were growing up. Um, because I was always thinking like, oh, I was always under the assumption again it was like a western, so it's like, oh, it's a western movie, but Bruce Willis has semi-automatic pistols. Okay.
There's, they're using Tommy guns, and this one's very. I mean, I say out of all of this one's a very by this one's the closest to an actual western, and both in time period and layout, characters. If you gave them other weapons that set it, 60 years early, 50 or 60 years earlier, it's it's straight up western.
It is weird though watching it because this is Walter Hill, and so Walter Hill's like a very action director. But there's a lot of scenes um, that felt almost. There's a couple scenes where I was like, oh, is Walter Hill trying to mimic some John Woo? Like there's like these some weird slow mos. There's stuff like that. I will say though, just as a tangent, and because you're more into guns than I ever was. Whatever happened to the Tommy gun? Because I have an growing up at the age we did, I have an affinity for the Tommy gun, and I feel like it should be. I'm sure they're horribly unreliable, but there's just something about seeing somebody use a Tommy gun that just brings a smile to my face.
There, we're talking one of the most iconic guns in cinema, especially automatic weapons. They are just big and made of steel and wood, and they're iconic. And I mean, it was a very revolutionary weapon for the time. I love seeing it in movies. Were there better designs pretty soon after? Yes. But do any of them look as cool or cinematic as the Tommy gun? No. Especially the big drum mag, the front grip, and just mowing them down, which is used to great effect in this movie. I'm with you. Love the Tommy gun. Why would you show up in more movies, modern or not? Hell, I would love to see me some Tommy guns in movies.
Let's get Tommy guns in Fortnite, man. Like I don't play that game, but like just bring back the Tommy gun. Hashtag justice for the Tommy gun.
Yes, bring it back. But yeah, last man standing. Okay, could have been better.
Yeah,
I need to step away for a second, but I'll be right back.
absolutely. Uh, and yeah, just the idea we were talking of this this genre, this subgenre. You can cover so many things. Like I said, whether it be like I said, most recent Um, in recent memory, things like Yellowstone, Sons of Anarchy, um, other but you could do horror. I do. Side note: I do. Nick and I do plan on doing a horror western. That's a fun genre that doesn't get a lot of attention. Movies like Lone Star, was it Robert Sale's Lone Star with Matthew McConaughey that I watched? I think I did a couple years ago, which is a fantastic movie. Speaking of Chris Christopherson, but yeah, it's neo westerns. You can cover they cover so many genres, including uh post apocalyptic sci-fi, which is where we're heading next. Uh, we're blasting into the future to 2010 with Book of Eli, directed by the Hughes brothers. And man, let me tell you, I miss the Hughes brothers. You know, we they're we're now dealing with the idea of they went on to kind of separate and do different things. We're getting that with the Coens, the Zapke brothers. But man, those Hughes brothers movies, um, this, which is fantastic, Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, which is a slept on 90s movie. Even their adaptation of From Hell, which I'm okay with. I kind of like that movie. Um, but this is Book of Eli from, again, 2010. Denzel Washington, and anytime I think you can get Denzel Washington into another genre outside of just plain old action, um, man, they're some of my favorites. Whether it's this or The Fallen, I love Denzel Washington in genre pictures. Um, you get
Virtuosity.
yeah, yeah. What's that Tony Scott one where he's like jumping through time or whatever, out of time? Um, that new Spike Lee movie where he plays a music mogul that was based on like a Japanese businessman. Um, that's here or there. Book of Eli follows our character Eli, who has incredible skills. He's an amazing survivor of this uh, post-apocalyptic postman Mad Max esque world, and he has a book. It is the last known copy of what turns out to be the Bible. But in a world where books are basically nobody knows how to read, or the books are basically non-existent, so books are power. And while traveling through a small town run by the deliciously evil Gary Oldman, because if there's something I love more than Denzel Washington in a genre movie, it's bad guy Gary Oldman. Um, him and Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. Uh, and Mia Kunis, uh, they're after him and they want his book. And there's an amazing reveal that I will not spoil for anybody because it's an incredible reveal. It impacts this movie so much, and yet is something that allows for multiple rewatches. But is essentially him trying to get this book to the people that are like on a tanker ship that are transcribing the written word because there are only so many people who are left to actually read. And Gary Oldman is having none of it. So you get a little, like again, you get a little bit of the Postman, you get a little bit of Mad Max, Thunderdome slash Fury Road. Uh, the way this movie's shot by the Hughes brothers, where it's almost in black and white, have how gray and dusty and desolate the world is after whatever the apocalypse has been. Um, and you get Denzel Washington being an utter and total badass. And again, ultimately what ends up being kind of a beautiful, sweet story, or at least where with the ending is concerned. But what a movie that, again, as another film that came out, 15 years ago that nobody really talks about anymore. In fact, I don't even remember it being as that big when it came out, but on rewatch, it still holds up and it's still absolutely fantastic.
This is a criminally underrated post-apocalyptic movie. Uh, and watching it again, I was able to pick up more details. This takes place about 30 years after a nuclear war has ravaged the world. In North America, large swaths of it are just desolate wastelands. And man, the world building in this movie is amazing. Seeing Eli, the main character, it's like hunting and going. He's on this quest, and he believes he's on this quest from God, transporting the Bible at a time where uh, you get some dialogue referencing the fact that Bibles, these religious texts, were destroyed in mass, partially being blamed for the fall of humanity and this nuclear war. And so many details in this movie. Having his old iPod he has and having to get it charged, and just like the grind, and dealing with people who are cannibals and just all sorts of things, marauders. The world building is just amazing. Of course, the acting's stellar. Denzel Washington is excellent. Gary Oldman is excellent. Getting these two in a movie, I'm pretty impressed at a movie like this. Wasn't the biggest movie, getting that kind of talent in there, and they are wonderful when you see them on screen together. They're wonderful separately, and I find this to be an inspiring movie of Eli on his quest, and a man he's trying to do what he feels is right, um, and preserve something he feels has to be preserved. It is so important on this quest. He's willing to do whatever it takes to complete this quest. Um, and we have Mila Kunis as Solara, who I think does a pretty solid job as well. She's overshadowed, by the two acting titans on screen, but you feel her as this naive girl in this ruined world. And we even get Jennifer Beals, who I really was cool little minor role of her as Mila Kunis's blind mother. Um, the settings are amazing. Just it's like so it's like sepia toned and nasty. This world just looks brutal, and the people look just weather worn and beaten down and thirsty. The action is extremely well choreographed. I found out that Denzel Washington, he insisted on doing his own like martial arts and whatnot. He really learned how to fight with a machete for this movie. And that scene where he runs to the Marauders early on in the movie is amazing. That is such a great action scene. When he cuts off the guy's arm and slinks back into the shadows, he said, "Oh, I think he said, Chuck. I think he said, kill him." He just takes them to pieces. Uh, the music, the score of this movie is great. It really sets the stage for this epic tale of this one man's quest. The details with what he carries, uh, the which I don't remember for the name tag that's in his backpack, kind of referencing the world before, and the reveal as to what's going on and what the big twist is, which I'm with you. I'm not ruining, but man, it does it for me, and it ties this movie together. And watching it again, armed with this knowledge, you can just see it. The first time I watched it, I did not see it coming. But seeing it again and watching it, it was like rewatching it for the first time. It's excellent. I think it's an oddly beautiful movie, and it's very well acted. It's more people should watch it. It
Yeah, and
it just
it's just
I'm hoping at some point it gets really rediscovered and appreciated.
yeah, because like I said, this movie just kind of was a blip, and um, it's absolutely stunning. It's absolutely well acted. It's beautiful. It's uh, it's harrowing when it needs to be. It has a a a great message to it without being overly preachy or you're like, oh, there's a post-apocalyptic movie and it involves the Bible. There's a lot of, and then you're like, no. um, and again, like all the subtlety of what this journey means, the stuff, the idea of what happens if things like that fall into the wrong hands because you have you have Gary Oldman as almost this cult leader of this little village. I will say this: if you someone who might not enjoy this movie is if you are an owner of hairless cats, because my god.
Yeah, comes out you're watching this like, okay, what's going? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
but yeah, the ending, it's such a powerful movie that just is just buried to time, which is so sad.
And you really feel the wandering stranger western trope in
Yep.
here. Strolls into this town controlled by a powerful, dangerous man, and he collides with this basically crime boss and his goons. Um, and I like one thing too. They don't try to shoehorn any romance in here. It's just and it's a sleek, very well paced, very beautifully shot movie. I was it had been too long since I'd watched it. I don't I think this may be the second time I've ever watched it, and it was like watching it all over again for the first time, and seeing the clues and seeing the various details in the movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't get a lot uh of Amber wanting to actively watch anything that I ever watch, to the point where it makes me sad and I cry a lot at night. But this was one where I watched it, get everything ready, and I said, "Oh, this is the movies we're doing," and she goes, "Oh my god, when you watch Book of Eli, let me know. I want to watch it." And I was like, "I've already watched it," and let me tell you, I was in so much trouble. I'm still in a little trouble, so definitely is one that uh, can be enjoyed by many. Um, who maybe aren't down for the normal genre that this movie kind of sits in, but definitely speaks to a lot of different people.
I As you mentioned, Amber Brable, my wife, watched all six of these movies with me. We've had some time, and she really enjoyed going through these with me. She had a very similar painting of Last Man Standing, and she didn't care nearly as much for Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia as I did. Uh, Partially, I watched Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. It is not streaming anywhere, but I found it on a Daily Motion. Which, if you haven't been on Daily Motion since 2004, uh, commercials every 8 to 10 minutes, and they are very jarring. Uh, and they were missing some subtitles and this kind of rough copy. I really regretted not just breaking down and buying a movie. I found a copy in town for $30. I should have, because this is one I definitely will own and I will rewatch.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's when you mentioned it, I found it on eBay. The the imprint, it's an Australian brand that company that did. I have that big fancy version of the remake of Suspiria. They did a box like that for it, and it comes with that, and it comes with a Peck and Pod documentary that I definitely need to dive into. Um, but even on that, it's a beautiful Blu-ray copy. Still, like, had to like turn the subtitles on because there's a lot of mumbling. Um, but yeah, it looked great. But yeah, I can understand like, oh, weird. Female didn't enjoy a Peckinpah movie. What are the odds?
So, so before we completely wrap up, what was your favorite out of this bunch, out of the six?
That was the cat slowly dry heaves next to me. Um, I mean, I gotta go Desperado just because it has such a tie to us. B, it was one that I was able to share with the kid, and you know he's usually at work or at his friend's house. Um, so there's not a lot of time for us to movie watch together like we used to. And watching him enjoy this movie for the first time was a lot of fun. Plus, it's super fun. It's super sexy. It's everything you want in an action movie. So I a lot of them are great. Like I said, the weakest link is still a pretty good movie. But if I had to pick one, I would go with Desperado simply because of the outside factors.
It's the most fun movie out of this bunch. It's a blast. And again, I highly recommend it. For me, it was down between two movies: The Book of Eli, which I think is excellent, and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Ultimately, I'd say Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. The man, that movie did it for me. Um, and I'm gonna go watch more old Sam Peckinpah movies. But I just it was great going through these six movies. I so thoroughly enjoyed it, and it made me want to watch more neo westerns. I think it's incredibly likely we will revisit this in the future because this is a deep well to draw from, and a lot of I think we were very close in our opinions on all these. I'm not surprised. This is a genre I think we both deeply appreciate, and there's so much to offer across various genres within the genre.
Yeah, and it was especially nice doing it this month as well because it was like a 1-2 punch of like really great movies. Because Neo Noir November that I do each year, where I set aside the month of November to just talk about really great films. Uh, so just gonna do these and neo noirs. A lot of fun, and there are some that I've already covered for neo noir November that we could revisit. Like I was talking about the movie Lone Star, which is a really great neo western. Yeah, this is definitely a well we will revisit. But like you, I do want to give a special award to Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia because it was a blind buy, never seen it before. It was the last movie I watched of the set and was just like, holy crap, dude, what a great movie. There's something I've been trying to get myself into more 70s movies. Uh, both in neo westerns, neo noirs, talking about the conversation the first of the month, doing Race with the Devil during August. Uh, there's just something about those 70s movies, man, that just really not in an artificially nostalgic way like 80s movies do, but just a real weird, gritty, uh, real. I mean, that's the word to describe 70s cinema. It's just real. So I definitely want to continue diving into films like that for sure.
Often considered the greatest era, the greatest decade in film because there were so many excellent movies that came out. Um, and you see movies like this and you understand why. I it, it just it blew me. Bring the Head of Alfredo Garcia blew me away, and the name is just what an awesome name for a movie.
Yeah.
And that that's our neo westerns for the month.
Yeah. So, what better way to wrap up a month where we talked about, between this and Neo Noir November, 10 fantastic films. Then to segue into December here at the Movie Club Emporium, where I've made what may be the gravest mistake of my lifetime outside of one of the last binges I did. Um, FYI, that was watching all 7 Howling movies in one day. Uh, because for December, every Sunday, you will get to take a little trip with me that I stupidly decided to take in one sitting, where I am deep dove into all 5 of these Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. Um, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride, and it's fun. Mostly now because it's over for me. Uh, I not only did I watch all 5 in one sitting, I then recorded all my reviews in one sitting. So you will be able to see what doing so will do to a person. So those videos will be coming out every Sunday for the month of December as we wrap up 2025 as far as reviews go. But fret not. If you don't want to watch me suffer slowly and viciously, number one, you should. It'll be a good time. But also every Wednesday, again, Nick with his post theater clarity, uh, gives you the hottest takes allowed outside of becoming a snowman. Uh, as he again takes you along with him and his regal pass to the movies every single week. And the next month, December is a fun uh live. We're doing our after Christmas office Christmas party. You never know what's gonna happen. We've had special guests before when we do these. Sometimes we talk about things that we're watching currently, things we're catching up on. Sometimes it may get so crazy that we go ahead and tell you what to expect throughout the year on our live stream topics. So you don't want to miss those. And then we'll be right into it, feet first, into 2026 because the train don't stop. But to make sure that you're here for every minute of that, do us a favor. You got to click that subscribe button. You got to click the like button, share it around. Our goal for 2026 is 100 subscribers. We are at over 60 now. So let's see if we can get to 100. And we can do that hopefully with your guys' help. Thank you all so much who have been hanging out with us. Thank you so much for our regulars. Unfortunately, some of them who aren't able to be with us tonight. But hopefully you can catch it on the replay. And hopefully, thank you all for those of you who have been checking out the videos because they're a lot of fun to do. And they're even more fun when we're able to share them with other people. So, make sure you appease all of the things that Lord YouTube says you need to do. And until next time, where we're having a Christmas party that may or may not get HR involved, I've been Jason.
I'm Nick.
And we will see you guys next time.
Later, y'all.
Bye.